That's Ferrall on the Vans, coast to coast in the biggest way possible, hanging out the bad seat, the bad apple with a bad attitude. We are live in New York City, the Big Apple. Ooh. People dressed in plastic bags, directing traffic, some kind of fashion shade-up, along with the Tater and Tutty King. Again, he's been busy on the North Pole, working with Santa and all of the helpers for the last few days. Of course, you know him as the golf guru of choice, not a winner yet of the Cape Cod Open. Also, the sheet of integrity rights holder, Carver High this afternoon, ladies. Mafia is running it with R.A. Dickey, your boy Robert Anderson, not the guy that I was the best man in his wedding. This is a different Robert Anderson. There's several of them in every city. It's unbelievable, the commonality of that name. A terrible Towel Tuesday rundown. We got a double shot with Morency coming up from Vancouver, plus Mike DeCourcy, the esteemed columnist from the Sporting News, Fox Sports, Big Ten Network, and Eric Hasseltine, our old buddy, the Grizzlies radio play-by-play voice off Beale Street in Memphis. We'll talk about Ja and the Grizzlies, who are tough as hell today on Coast to Coast. So let me tell you what happened last night, Carver High. A couple of things. One, I thought the Monday night games were so awful, so boring, so despicable, so absolutely tragic
It was
that I changed the channel and went to the NHL Network late, and I ran into Goldie on Ice and Randy Moeller calling the rematch of the Stanley Cup Finals between the Panthers and the Oilers at Rogers Place in Edmonton, Alberta. Strangely enough, the Oilers were leading 4-2 at the time, and then bang, 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 bang. 6-5, Panthers win it. Verhaeghe, spell that on a bottle of Belvedere. Verhaeghe with the game winner, the go-ahead goal, the difference maker. Reinhart got involved. Everybody was chipping in. Even though McDavid had 3 assists, the Oilers cannot beat the Florida Panthers, and that's bottom line. That third period was better than both of those Monday Night Football games combined, and also last night, Carver High. The hated most franchise, 2-time defending champs, in the semis against, guess who? The old Ballers, the old Ferrall Ballers. Of course, they took my name off the banners after I died, and they reformed with 3 of the original founding members. But they got fisted last night in the semifinals. Game was tied 47 apiece. They scored 1 more point the rest of the way, 60-48. Hated most. Play the Russians next Monday on the 23rd at 8 o'clock tip for my 22nd championship game in Lifetime U-Hoops, the nationally acclaimed League for Violence.
They took your name off the banner? They took the name off of the banners? Come on, they're not that petty.
Well, we went to 21 title games. We went 11-10. And then when I died, they renamed the team the Ballers. They were always the Ferrall Ballers. It was my team. And then once they got rid of me, they tried to kill me with arsenic. And then they changed the name of the team to the Ballers. So we gave them a lesson last night in bend over holiday music.
I'm just saying the championship banners that they hang from the rafters, the old ones still say Ferrall Ballers.
The old ones still say so. 11 of them say Ferrall Ballers.
Okay, good.
A 12th championship says Ballers. They won one without me.
Understandably so. And on the other side of the coin, you mentioned about the Monday night game. Let me tell you, me measuring the walls of my house the last couple of days was more exciting.
More entertaining
than those 2 Monday night games. The sad part was
Little Willie was doing the play-by-play of you measuring the rooms.
Little Willie was doing the play-by-play. And the sad part is both games were so bad, I didn't even know where to stay. And I saw you tweet about it. I should have went over and caught the end of Goldie on Ice with the Panther and the Oiler game. Like, the Bears had the ball with 5.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and they were down 21. And it was so bad that Aikman is actually still sitting there. He's such a shill for it. And he's like, if they could get one here, it'd be real interesting. No, it wouldn't. What the hell are you talking about? It would be real interesting. They'd still be down 14 points. What do you mean it'd be real interesting?
It felt so good to leave the game.
And then the other game, was actually a close game, but both teams were so pathetic that it was completely unwatchable, the Falcon Raider game. It was completely unwatchable. So that's what you have. And you get games like that.
Listen, my buddy was at the game in Vegas, and he wrote, and you know him, the Wicker Man writes me, he says, I'm in a suite. And I went, so what? The Raiders are hairdryer city, bro. No one cares that you're at a suite
Nobody
at the Raider
cares.
game. The Raiders have lost 10 in a row. Do you realize they have only once been worse than this? When they lost 16 in a row once in their history. When they show Mark Davis sitting up in his suite, it's embarrassing. I mean, he is ugly.
It is.
I mean, that guy,
it's bad.
You know how they have the sexiest man of the year that I've come close in a couple times in the finals? But then they should have the ugliest man ever, and he'd win hands down. He'd be repeat offender. He'd win like 9 titles.
He makes a lot of ugly men look handsome. Is what he does. He makes a lot of ugly men look handsome.
That's why he put Brady
when he sits up there.
And all those other people. He wanted some pretty people around.
We needed pretty people around him. So thankfully, we're done with those games last night, and we will move on to Week 16. There's only 3 weeks left in the NFL season, so we will start to turn the page to that today on Coast to Coast. Broncos Chargers on Thursday night. The Steelers and the Ravens on Saturday afternoon. I mean, you got to be kidding me. The AFC North crown on the line. The Steelers can clinch it with a victory over the Ravens. So we will, of course, discuss all of that. We also have today NBA Cup, the championship in Vegas tonight with the Bucks and the Thunder. Very exciting NBA Cup championship game. I know you can't wait for it.
Well, it's the old against the young. You got the youngest team in the league and the favorites, the Thunder, against the oldest team in the league, the Bucks. And Giannis got him in. They beat Atlanta. Thunder got in, beat Houston. Obviously, let's get it on. I'll watch tonight in Vegas. Now, this whole scene they got going on here, like this is the NBA Game 7 and outside of the T-Mobile Arena.
I can't have it.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. They're treating it like literally, I don't know, the Oscars. They got the red carpet going. They got their TV personalities that nobody cares about walking in on they are on a team. They got them coming in slow motion and admiring the trophy. Like it's really gotten ridiculous.
It's not that serious. It's just not. The NBA Cup championship tonight. It should be a good game, but I don't need the 6-hour pregame show for that tonight.
Yeah,
There's just absolutely no reason for any of that. So we'll get into the NBA Cup today. And, of course, this week is college football playoff week, and I am giving you an update. The latest weather report for South Bend on Friday night. 18 degrees and snow showers underneath Touchdown Jesus as the Hoosiers and the Irish play for a spot in the quarterfinals. I mean, it can't get any better than that. Friday night, Hoosiers and the Irish in the snow.
Yeah, listen, obviously, I want Indiana to win, but I'm not feeling real good about it. Like, I saw them go to Columbus and lay an egg and have a bad special teams day. I could see the same thing happening in South Bend. The Irish are great at everything, especially special teams. They block punts. They do everything well. And they've won 10 in a row. They mean business. They got a great defense. I'll say this. The one thing that I hope happens is they gave Marcus Freeman all that money this week. They should have waited until Sunday. I'd love to see him lose this game. And then they're like, oh, God, we just gave him 4 years and a boatload of money. Why do you give some guy all the money before the whole kit and caboodle's over with? I'm not giving guys deals in the middle of a tournament. Win the tournament and I'll give you even more years and money.
I'm actually not even on a side today.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. Why are you on Texas?
I gave them a chance. Maybe not me as the overwhelming authority in college football, but entering that game on this set, to you guys, I said there was one elite defense entering the matchup in Austin back to end out October. It's not the Bulldogs like it used to be. It is Texas.
College football today, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
You don't want them to go 13-0 and then lose the first round of the playoffs.
Red.
This is their last shot. They don't really have anywhere else to go yet.
Hot take.
By the time I hit, I guess what, Route 33 up here, that ticket's cashing.
Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this, I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text, put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, like it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
You can catch Sports Rage weeknights at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific along all of our outlets. And, of course, during, football games, Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, Morency's on. And thank God we got him for a double shot every day on C2C from Vancouver. Gabe, I watched the Panthers and Oilers game last night in the third. I picked it up in the third period because I gave up on the Monday Night Football games because they both were so atrocious. What did you think of that hockey game? You had to have seen that, right?
We were tracking it. We were watching the two train wreck football games and breaking them down, trying to find some in-game opportunities. It wasn't easy how bad those games were. Wild game in Edmonton last night. And, got to be a disappointing. It's a regular season game, but you just lost to the team to beat in the Stanley Cup Finals as well. You're a day late, dollar short. Once again, and the Florida Panthers step up with a big-time win. Clearly, they wanted it as well last night. Fun game. And then you had the Vancouver Canucks roll the Colorado Avalanche last night and continue their theme of being a strange home team in which the Canucks seem to lose to bad teams on their home ice and are beating the good teams on their home ice. So, you know what? Last night, the NHL was far more entertaining than the National Football League was. But I said that, I brought this up last night. People like to criticize the NBA a lot. They look at the NBA ratings. Oh, look, they're down because of this. They're down because of that. If it wasn't for gambling and fantasy football, point blank, who the hell would watch the Falcons and the Raiders last night? Right? I mean, the Bears and the Vikings game wasn't much better. And did anybody watch the early slate of NFL games on Sunday? I would rather have gone and dug holes in my backyard with a shovel. Like it was that bad. So like all this stuff about, the product of the other leagues and the NBA the product and stuff. No, the NBA doesn't really start until Christmas in people's minds. It's too early for people to care. And those games were god-awful terrible last night, just point blank. And there was a lot of bad football on Sunday too.
Well, look, I was into it because I was hot on Sunday. That the 1 o'clock games, I hit 7 straight spreads. And then the afternoon is what killed me. I ended up, and Sunday night killed me. But then I split last night. I hit Atlanta, laid the 7. And then that backdoor cover by Vegas burned me because I was on Atlanta there as well. I went with both chalk on the Monday night games. But Listen, I think the NBA Cup games have been exciting. At least, the quarters, the semis were decent. It's better than regular season. There's money on the table. And I thought the games were more intense than normal early December, mid-December games. I would agree with you that Christmas is when it begins. I also think, frankly, for my money, hockey starts January 1st when they start pushing toward April in the playoffs. I don't care about October and November, even though it matters. I think it's the same thing in hockey.
No, that's the best thing. That's the difference about hockey. It's the one thing that separates hockey from every other sport. They're nut jobs. Like, the fan bases are nut jobs. The players are intense. The coaches are psychotic. In which, put it this way, how many coaches in the NHL this year have been fired compared to the NBA? How many? Yeah, exactly. How many NBA coaches have been fired so far this year? None. How many coaches in the NHL have been fired so far? Can't even keep up. Seriously, I don't know. So Boston fired the coach. St. Louis fired the coach. Who else fired the coach? There's been a bunch. It's like almost every 4 or 5 days. Yeah, another coach just got fired.
Chicago.
Yeah, you know why?
Coach.
Yeah, you know why? Because the NHL, they care. That was my whole point. And I'm not saying they don't care in other leagues, but that's what makes the NHL, that if you're 0-3, they want to fire people. And there's a panic. Like, every game. It's too long, though. It's relentless, Scott. Right? Dude, people in Vancouver were debating whether Pettersson's contract was a bust after 2 games because he didn't have any points in the first 2 games. I told a local Vancouver media guy on Twitter, he had a poll question, should they trade him? I said, this is the reason why players don't want to play in Canada, because of media people like you. He never spoke to me again. I'm actually buddies with the guy. He said, you know what the market's like. And I said, you don't have to feed it, right? So, you know what I mean? People are psychotic. That's the whole difference in the NHL. Every game matters. Every shift matters. You can't say the same thing. And I agree with you about
arguing with hockey writers.
I'm telling him to chill out. It was 2 games in.
Bet that went over well with him.
Hit a poll question. I don't know. Today I saw.
I do stripper polls.
Yeah, exactly. Today, I saw a poll question up. Whose rebuild is better, the Buffalo Sabres or the Montreal Canadiens? I'm like, who cares? You both suck.
How about they're favored tonight in Montreal, and they haven't won a game in 2 months?
The Montreal Canadiens, that's another story. Yeah, this game, I would take the Canadiens tonight, the +110. That's home dogs. I would take the Bleu Blanc et Rouge tonight. Now, listen, I like the NBA. It's not a criticism, but my whole point was, Scott, like, the coaches being fired is a good example. Like, hockey's psychotic. Every game matters. It's like, you can't tell. If you watch a game, like, I went to a game the other night, it was no different than any other game I saw in the spring last year. They're flying around. They're hitting each other. There's a method to the madness. The NBA, though, you're right. You can't say that once this thing got going with the NBA Cup that the players don't care. They clearly do care. Oklahoma City want to win this thing. Dame Lillard and the Bucks, everybody hates on them all the time suddenly. They'd like to nail this thing down tonight. For the record, I like Oklahoma City tonight, Scott. I think the Thunder will finish this thing off. But I'll be watching. I'll be watching the NBA Cup tonight. I'll have my eye on it. I'm looking forward to the bowl game tonight, too.
Yeah, Memphis and West Virginia. Who do you like there?
I think Memphis are going to kill them.
Yeah.
Dude, West Virginia lost like 59-15 to Texas Tech in their last game. And I'm not one of these what happened in their last game dudes, but they also lost 11 players. Trotter's kid was like their best defensive player. He just bolted.
Rod back after their nasty divorce.
Yeah, and that's good for them moving forward. But all the kids on the team now know we suck, and Rich Rod's bringing new dudes in, so they all left. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? They're Memphis roll.
I'm actually not even on a side today.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. Why are you on Texas?
I gave them a challenge. Maybe not me as the overwhelming authority in college football, but entering that game on this set, to you guys, I said there was one elite defense entering the matchup in Austin, back to end out October. It's not the Bulldogs like it used to be. It is Texas.
College football today, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long.
You don't want them to go 13-0 and then lose the first round of the playoffs.
Red.
Yeah, this is their last shot. They don't really have anywhere else to go yet.
Hot take.
By the time I hit, I guess what, Route 33 up here, that ticket's cashing.
Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this. I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text. Put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh, yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe. Like, it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
All right, we're talking to Morency in Vancouver. Let me just go through this with you, Gabe. Kansas City's already in. Pittsburgh's already in. The Ravens can clinch if they win or tie against the Steelers Saturday. Denver can clinch with a win or a tie, or a Dolphins loss or a tie, and a Bengals loss or a tie, and a Colts loss or a tie. That's just ridiculous. The Chargers can clinch with a win and a Dolphins loss or tie and a Colts loss or tie. And then in the NFC, all that matters is the Commanders. The Commanders clinch a playoff berth with a win and a Falcons loss or tie and a Rams loss or tie. That's too complicated for me. So this boils down to Baltimore and Denver. Denver plays the Chargers Thursday. The Ravens play the Steelers Saturday. What do you think of those games?
There's really no drama left in the AFC, to be honest with you. We all know every team that's in the playoffs right now in the AFC are going to make the playoffs. All right. I guess with the exception of if the Chargers completely collapsed and lost every game and the Bengals won out somehow, but you figure the Chargers have another win in them. So really it's just about playoff seeding right now. And if you're Buffalo, you're probably going to end up with the second seed. I don't think Kansas City are going to stumble that much, but let's just say you get the second seed. So essentially Denver and the Chargers, Scott, are playing not to play Buffalo and to play Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Denver will play Pittsburgh right now.
That's the gist of it. And, the Pittsburgh Steelers wouldn't be easy going into Pittsburgh to play them, but at least they're not going to hang 38 on you automatically like Buffalo will. Right, so that's really what it comes down to. The NFC is more interesting. The NFC is still, Tampa. Listen, Atlanta are brutal, and I don't see how Atlanta are going to be able to win out here. But they're only one game back right now, and that NFC West division race. That's the most intriguing race in football right now. Right, what's going to happen in that NFC West? And I personally think the Rams will end up being the ones left standing.
Do you think that, so the game would be Denver and Pittsburgh, and I know Denver has a good defense, but don't you think that, honestly, that the Steelers would get to Bo Nix and rough him up and beat them?
Well, what's so awesome about that game, Scott, is Russell Wilson versus the Denver Broncos. Sean Payton versus Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
And we got, there's revenge tossed around very loosely in the sports world, right? A lot of times, like, a big revenge game. And I remember as a dude, he goes, no, why would this be a revenge game? He goes, they drafted me. They made me a millionaire. Like, he goes, I got nothing but love for this team. Not everything. Everyone who gets traded doesn't always hate the other team after, right? It doesn't always work that way. But in this instance, Sean Payton could not have been a bigger jerk to Russell Wilson, right? Publicly, behind the scenes, there's no love lost between them. Then he ripped Nate Hackett after, if you recall. Like, let's be real. Sean Payton likes to run his mouth a lot. All right, so that would be a great matchup. And speaking of which, I don't know if you guys remember this, but years ago, Sean Payton and Jim Harbaugh used to hate each other, bro. When the 49ers and Saints used to play. Like, they refused to shake hands. Remember, they got into it after a game once.
Yeah.
There's no love lost between them either, so they're going head-to-head this Thursday with an opportunity to clinch a playoff spot for these teams on the line. That should be a fun, intense football game. Not a track meet, but a fun game on Thursday. Saturday, Scott, I don't know, now Mahomes is talking about wanting to play, right, in this game. I think the Chiefs could even win, even if, I agree with you. If you're the Chiefs, who cares? Like, even if you lost the 1 seed, it would be almost criminal if you brought Mahomes back because he wants to play now because he says, I'm a competitor, and he gets hurt for real. But, hey, I don't care what the Kansas City Chiefs do, all right? I hope they rot in hell.
Who do you like in the Charger-Denver game Thursday night at SoHi?
I'm leaning right now. This is a tough one. Like I said, I'm leaning with Denver just because Denver are playing better football right now. They're getting the 3 points. I think the Chargers are starting to show some cracks right now. Their offensive inefficiency is starting to be exposed. Their lack of depth on offense is being exposed right now. Listen, Harbaugh has a 5-year plan. He's got a 5-year deal. He's had a great first year here, but I think they're starting to hit the wall a little bit. So I would like to see Harbaugh win. I'm a Harbaugh guy, but I think Denver can beat him, Scott.
I think they lost to Kansas City, got smoked by the Bucs. I think they finally win a game. You talk about them needing that 9th win. They're going to get it Thursday night. All right, Morency, have a great show tonight, buddy. Thank you.
I'm actually not even on a side today.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. Why are you on Texas?
I gave them a chance. Maybe not me as the overwhelming authority in college football, but entering that game on this set to you guys, I said there was one elite defense entering the matchup in Austin back to end out October. It's not the Bulldogs like it used to be. It is Texas.
College football today, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long.
You don't want them to go 13-0 and then lose the first round of the playoffs.
Red.
Yeah, this is their last shot. They don't really have anywhere else to go yet.
Hot take.
By the time I hit, I guess what, Route 33 up here, that ticket's cashing.
Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this. I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text. Put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh, yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe. Like, it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
So Mike DeCourcy is the esteemed columnist at the Sporting News. He's on Fox Sports doing hoops, and he's on Big Ten Network because he loves Indiana basketball. And he's on Coast to Coast every week. He also has friends at the Pittsburgh airport. And what he does is he calls them to play jokes on me and has my flights canceled when I go to Steeler games. He makes one phone call and he's like, "Can you do me a favor and cancel that Monday morning flight back to New York City that Ferrall's on?" And then sure enough, an hour later, I get a text, "Your flight has been canceled. There are no other seats available until Tuesday at 9:36 in the morning." It's all DeCourcy's fault. Hey, so let's start with this. Penn State's Drew Aller's coming back to his senior season in Happy Valley. And I said yesterday, Mike, I think he needs more seasoning. Oh. I've heard about his high draft stock. I am not buying at all that kid is ready for the NFL. I never thought he was good at Penn State. In fact, I bet against him against Oregon because I said he'll be the guy that costs him the game. Sure enough, 2 picks, he cost him the game. He's not ready for the NFL yet.
No, I mean what you're hearing about him as a first-round pick prospect is someone in the media trying to get attention. That's what it is. It's nothing more than that. And we shouldn't give credence to people who are just trying to get attention. We should give attention to legitimate analysis, legitimate reporting. And Drew Aller as a first-rounder today, come on. I mean, there's no way he gets past like 3 tests at the combine before they start knocking him down rounds. That's not happening. Now, he's a promising talent still. He's got a long way to go, and part of it has been that he has not had elite receiving talent at Penn State. I think everyone's acknowledged that. I mean, he doesn't have the Jahan Dotsons out there that they used to have at Penn State. They've had a pretty fallow period at that position, so it's harder for him to develop into a NFL-style playmaker. But it can come, and they may do well, who knows, in the portal at that position and elevate Drew's development. But it's certainly not now, and that's why he wisely chose to listen to people who know, and I'm not saying me because I'm just talking about this for the first time, but listen to people who know and say, yeah, I need another year at Penn State.
But you wrote about the kid that's leaving because it cost him, and this is the cost of doing business now in college football with this transfer portal vacuum that sucks guys out of programs. Like, how about the Marshall? They fired the coach. The entire team quit. The entire team's going to the portal, and they canceled their bowl game. I mean, kids are transferring now like I'm walking down to my mailbox.
That is true. Look, I don't blame this young man for doing this. In the middle 2000s, probably around 2004, I'm going to say, maybe a little right around then, Joe Flacco left Pitt after he was beaten out for the starting job at Pitt. And in that period, he had to transfer down a level in order to play immediately. He transferred to Delaware. Now, Delaware was a great program at that point, and it worked out great for him. And he had a tremendous career that included a Super Bowl ring. But now you don't have to do that anymore. And that's the right thing. You shouldn't have to sit out a year the first time you transfer. When you start doing it 2 and 3 times, I can be persuaded that that's not really right. But the first time, it should be immediate. And that's what's going to happen here. Him having to leave the program now, I suspect that once he realized that when Aller was coming back, that he had to leave in order to get some time as a starting quarterback and to get a reasonable NIL payout in the move, that he had to do it now. The positions were closing around the country. Other people were being recruited. He had to get on that merry-go-round. Look, the CFP championship is January 20th. If he happens to choose West Virginia, which is one of the schools that's been mentioned, they start classes on the 13th. So he's got to be there at some point around there. So I totally understand why he would have to leave. And I kind of think Penn State said, if you're going to leave, go ahead.
Wait a minute. No one goes to class. What? So wait, let me ask you this. Rich Rod, we just mentioned earlier that he went back there after that messy divorce when he was in Morgantown the last time. I can't believe I'm seeing that guy go back to West Virginia after the way they hated each other's guts. But tell me how you think it's going to play out in Chapel Hill with Bill Belichick. What's your thoughts on that? I know you wrote about it.
Yeah, I think it's a terrible hire. I don't think Bill Belichick, first of all, he has no experience at all at the college level, at the high major level. None. Zero. He has less than I have because I'm sure I've been to more games than he has. It's absurd to pay $10 million a year to someone who's never done the job. And it's a much different job at the college level than it is at the NFL. At the NFL level, your job is, as a head coach, is about 99% coaching and about 1% talking to the media. That's the split. If you're a college coach, it's about 35% coaching and then a whole bunch of booster stuff and fundraising and dealing with the media, as I mentioned, and having to recruit players. And look, you can say we're going to put it all over on this shelf, and the personnel department led by Michael Lombardi is going to do that. But if you're not involved, you're not winning. Because if you have somebody big time coming in like Ryan Day or someone like that coming into someone's living room, and then it's like the GM from Carolina, where's he going to go? The coach couldn't even take time out to talk to him. Where's he going to go? He's going to go to the school that's really recruiting him. So Belichick has to be involved. He has no experience in that venue. I just don't see this working at all. And that doesn't even bring up the fact that he's starting this job. He will coach his first game at age 73. Hey, I'm old enough. I don't want to be in, I don't want to discriminate against that. But there just hasn't been a lot of success for people in their mid-70s.
I'll be lucky if I last 5 more years, Mike. 73, Christ. I'll have a hip replacement, a knee replacement, a divorce. I'll be living alone, drinking out of a bottle. Honestly, Tabatsa, you've seen him play 6'9" stretch. Is it true they're paying that kid over $7 million to play in Provo?
No, my source says it's actually half that. It's still a lot, obviously. But my source says that those figures are overinflated. But I do have, again, reservations about that. Not about AJ. He's a terrific talent, and he'll do his best. But it's been pretty rare that teams that throw one and done into a mix and not a full class of 5-star guys like you've seen on occasion and are seeing right now at Duke with Cooper Flagg surrounded by 5-star guys. Or at Kentucky when John Calipari was there. It's been really rare that you've had great success with teams that have brought a single such player into the mix. And it's pretty common, frankly, that coaches who've done this don't end up being in their jobs very long after this has happened. There's a long list of coaches who've tried this and within a few years found out that it destabilized their program and they're now looking for work.
Mike, I watched Tennessee play Illinois and Champaign, and they both shot so poorly that entire game. And then, of course, Tennessee end-to-end bucket at the buzzer to win it. They got lucky. I still believe, Mike, that Auburn's better than them.
Oh, I don't buy the poll at all. Look, I really like Tennessee's program, and Rick Barnes is one of the really wonderful men in coaching. But as with a lot of the teams at Tennessee, this one's offensively challenged. They are not the best team in the country. It will be very hard for them to win it. Auburn is better as a college basketball team. I don't think they will win it either. But if you asked me, take any team to have the best record at the end of the regular season, the number 1 overall seed, I'm going with Auburn.
Here's DeCourcy. Ferrall will be there for January 5th for the Bengal game, and he'll be there the following week for the wild card game with the Steelers. Can you have both of those Monday flights, kid? Okay, let me know.
I'm actually not even on a side today.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. Why are you on Texas?
I gave them a chance. Maybe not me as the overwhelming authority in college football, but entering that game on this set to you guys, I said there was one elite defense entering the matchup in Austin back to end out October. It's not the Bulldogs like it used to be. It is Texas.
College football today, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
You don't want them to go 13-0 and then lose the first round of the playoffs.
Red.
This is their last shot. They don't really have anywhere else to go yet.
Hot take.
By the time I hit, guess what, Route 33 up here, that ticket's cashing.
Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this. I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text. Put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh, yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe. It's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
So, one thing I like about this show is at the beginning of the show, we just absolutely hammered the two crappy Monday Night Football games and how terrible they were and how I couldn't wait to dive off of the channel and watch hockey instead. And I made the right choice and saw this fabulous ending to the Panther-Edmonton game. And then what do? We jump right back into it and cover the games again at full length for everyone.
Well, we didn't, like we said, we mentioned them for 30 seconds, and now I'll at least tell you what happened in them real fast and what they mean for you going forward. If anything. Vikings beat the Bears 30-12. The Vikings have now won 7 in a row, and they are tied with the Lions for not only, of course, the top of the NFC North, but the entire NFC with the best record in that conference at 12-2. Let us hear Justin Jefferson, who got things going. Now, it was very upsetting that I wasn't here yesterday to give the tutties. It was a bad job by me because I ended up playing Justin Jefferson for first touchdown and Drake London for first touchdown, and both of them hit. Here's Justin Jefferson on Westwood.
Darnold is under center. Single back is Jones. First and goal, Chicago 7. Receiver Naylor in motion. There's the snap. The fake handoff. Dropping back Darnold. Cocks his right arm. Throws. Back in the end zone. Caught. Touchdown. A two-handed helmet high grab by Justin Jefferson. And a touchdown pass is 7 yards by Sam Darnold. And the Vikings have gone up 9-0.
I mean, what is next? This guy Carver High is going to have all the answers to the Christmas holiday party squares contest or the Super Bowl squares contest, have inside information and not share it with us? I mean, what is next? The guy had both first studies last night, and where is he? He's painting walls and blowing us off. I mean, Mafia, write this down in the things to remember book. And a payback.
It was a bad job by me. I had too much going on, and I didn't even tweet him out. Then I can sit here and say I actually hit it, which I did. I just wanted to also show you this from this game before I move on. You talk about a guy who can't wait to just get away from football for 3 months and just go sit in Aruba or something for a few weeks and recharge. Is this guy Caleb Williams, who just took big shot after big shot after big shot last night. Here's him describing how the last few weeks have gone for him.
Obviously, physically, let's put it in this context. Say you get in three car accidents, and a month you're going to feel it, and that's what a hit is in football. Is if y'all didn't know, a football, and getting hit. especially when you can't deliver a hit to somebody, as in like running the ball. You take those over, amount of time, and, it builds up.
I mean, he's just getting pounded. Listen, I won't deny that he hasn't thrown picks, and he's been pretty good for a first-year quarterback, but they stink. Yesterday on this show, once again, everybody telling me the Bears are going to cover and the Bears are going to win. And I said, I am not betting on a team that is that shaky, okay? They are terrible. That's a terrible football team. And let me add to that they're still playing this guy Stevenson that cost him that game in Washington.
Yeah.
They let him go right back in there. And thirdly, I want to say before you get into the Raider game, is there anyone more Madame Tussauds than Antonio Pierce? My man is like a wax doll standing on the sideline, staring into the abyss of his crappy coaching career in the NFL. He's no more a coach. I wrote this last night on X. He's no more of an NFL coach than I am. Literally, he is terrible. I don't care what anybody says. I'm not wrong. I will argue until I'm blue in the face. 10 in a row they've lost. It was a terrible hire. He fleeced them like he did everyone else at Arizona State with all of his cheating, and like he did at all of his car dealerships where he stole everyone's money, allegedly.
He will be chopped.
He only owes $30 million.
He'll be chopped. He'll be out in Vegas, I believe. Tom's going to get to pick the next coach. That'll be Brady's job. He's going to get to go and pick the next head coach of the Raiders. The Raiders lose 15-9 to the Falcons. Here it is. The only highlight of this game that actually mattered. That was Drake London scoring the first touchdown on Westwood One Sports.
Second down and 10 from the high red zone, the 30-yard line. Let me weave that in. Cousins looking down the right sideline. Wide open is Drake London at the 5. He'll walk in for 6. Kirk Cousins with his first touchdown pass in 5 games, and the easiest one maybe he's had all season.
Are you listening to this guy? Kirk Cousins has been an utter disaster with the Atlanta Falcons, an utter disaster. And then I got my guy. Now, listen, I've been friends with JT, the Brick, forever. I love him. We're good buddies. We're good pals. He's the greatest guy ever. I really believe that. But I've had about enough of him selling this Raider team to everybody, like cramming the Raiders down their throats when they're this bad. When they're this bad, dude, go to the rodeo, okay? Go to the rodeo.
Go to the rodeo.
It's rodeo week. Go to the rodeo. Stop telling us how great the Raiders are. They are awful. The Raiders are like the worst team in the NFL with the Giants. That's it. Game over. They suck. Stop trying to tell me that they're good, that they're the Raiders. They have the franchise. The franchise never been worse.
Raider football at its lowest point ever.
It is.
There's no question about that. And they will. I'm going to give you later on that NFL draft order heading into the last 3 weeks. It's a good race between them and the Giants to see who can get that top spot in the NFL draft, both with 2 wins, 3 games left.
They can't screw this up, the Giants, can they? Can they screw this up? How do you do it? All you have to do is throw the game. Throw the game.
I don't think they can, especially since the Raiders actually have a couple games they could maybe win. Like, they play Jacksonville and New Orleans the next 2 weeks. Like, the Raiders might accidentally win one of those 2 games, whereas the Giants, they will not accidentally win a game that they have left. They're finished. They got no shot coming up. So we will come back. I did want to play you Raheem Morris only because even though Cousins finally threw a touchdown pass, they still want to run him out of town and get rid of him and put Penix in over the last couple of weeks, which maybe isn't the worst idea I've ever heard.
They owe him $180 million.
I'm actually not even on a side today.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. Why are you on Texas?
I gave them a chance. Maybe not me as the overwhelming authority in college football, but entering that game on this set, to you guys, I said there was one elite defense entering the matchup in Austin back to end out October. It's not the Bulldogs like it used to be. It is Texas.
College football today, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long.
You don't want them to go 13-0 and then lose the first round of the playoffs.
Red.
Yeah, this is their last shot. They don't really have anywhere else to go yet.
Hot take.
By the time I hit, I guess what, Route 33 up here, that ticket's cashing.
Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this. I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text. Put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, "Hey, I never got the text." And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe. Like, it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
All right, let's listen to Raheem Morris then talk about, they're still in it. They're like a game back at Tampa, and they beat them twice. So they have the tiebreakers. If Tampa screws up, and Tampa's not screwing up, they just keep winning. They won 4 in a row.
I know you guys got the dub, but in terms of him as the starting quarterback moving forward.
He's got to play better. And, obviously you got to go back, you got to be able to look at everything. But, he wants to play better. He's got to play better. We got to find a way to get him to play better. And obviously we'll get to work tomorrow, and that's a part of our process, right? You go, you look at the tape, you review it with the people that needs to be reviewed with. We get all the coordinators in the room. We'll talk with everybody. And we got to play better at the quarterback position.
So part B to that, if he can't, are you prepared to replace him with Michael Penix?
We got everybody in our roster for a reason, right? We got so much to get better at, and those things will always be discussed. That's just the nature of the beast in football. It's just so heavily talked about it at the quarterback position because there's only one guy out there. So for us, man, our mentality is to find a way to win the next game. That's just the mentality that we're going to have.
So he wouldn't answer the question, and what were you going to say?
Well, look, Cousins was so awful last night. I know they owe him a lot of money, and I know it's tough to do. But I think I would switch him, and I think it's the shot that you have. I mean, they have winnable games. I mean, they play the Giants this week. That's a nice game. I feel like that you could put Penix in to start the day off. A bad team, you can get him build some confidence. Then you play Washington and Carolina your last 2 weeks. Tampa's they're a game behind them. Tampa plays Dallas, Carolina, and New Orleans. They could lose on Dallas on Saturday. They probably won't. I think Tampa's a good team. But, could they get tripped up in any of those games? Maybe. But Atlanta would have to sweep the table in order to do that.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. I think they put a beating on L.A. Chargers like no other. They put 40 in their face.
They beat them down.
And they scored 27 zip in the second half. Baker Mayfield to Evans is as lethal a combination as any in the NFL, and that's just all there is to it. And if you're facing Tampa in those 3 games, you're losing. They're going to win. I think they're going to win out, and that'll be the end of the crappy Falcons. And then I think really my gut feeling is they're going to play Cousins for all the money they gave him, and because they really do need to beat the Giants, you're going to go with a veteran over some kid. Let's see if he can beat the Giants. That's that mentality of, let's see if the kid can do it. No, let's let the veteran go do it. He'll beat the Giants. I mean, he won last night, didn't he? He beat the crappy Raiders. He got it done. Not because of him, but he got it done. That's all there is to it. I think next year is when you're going to hear the screaming, not voices, but screaming that he's got to go. And then it's got to be Penix. I mean, this kid Penix is as exciting a quarterback in terms of he has one thing mastered already in the NFL, and people say he's never played a snap. That kid in college, I don't care what anybody says, he got rid of the ball faster than anyone I have ever seen in my life throw a football. That guy drops back and the ball is gone. I mean, they say 2.5 seconds, right, is the number. This guy gets rid of the ball in 2 seconds. Forget about 2.5. He's a half second faster than anyone I've ever seen. He's got an absolutely sky-high future, and it's going to come, Atlanta. I think it's going to come next year. And then eventually they're just going to have to eat it on Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins this year looked washed.
He absolutely, especially over the last 6 weeks, he's really looked washed for them. That's for sure. I think at the end of the day, they're not going to get in either way. Whether they win their last 3 games or not, I don't think that Tampa is potentially going to trip up to be able to do that. All right. We give you, of course, every week. Bijan Robinson ran for 1,000 yards this year as well. First time in his career at the start of the next hour. The Broncos are 11-3 against the spread this year. Steelers, Chargers, Vikings, Lions, Bucks, Cards, Bills. The best teams against the spread this year. Pretty good for Denver.
Well, someone's got to give on Thursday night. The Chargers are 9-4-1, and the Broncos are 11-3. That's going to change Thursday night. It's so high. So let's see what happens in La 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 Lipstick City in Inglewood at that great stadium. So, look, do you feel that the Chargers are going to drop 3 in a row, or are they going to finally win at home?
I think that Herbert's banged up right now, and it's a problem. And I don't think their defense has been playing as good. I think the Broncos are going to beat them on Thursday night. I think the Chargers are in a little bit of trouble right now. The short week does not help them. If this game was on Sunday, I'd feel a little differently. I think the short week's going to hurt them.
They look terrible against Tampa.
I'm actually not even on a side today.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. Why are you on Texas?
I gave them a chance. Maybe not me as the overwhelming authority in college football, but entering that game on this set to you guys, I said there was one elite defense entering the matchup in Austin back to end out October. It's not the Bulldogs like it used to be. It is Texas.
College football today, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long.
You don't want them to go 13-0 and then lose the first round of the playoffs.
Red.
This is their last shot. They don't really have anywhere else to go yet.
Hot take.
By the time I hit, I guess what, Route 33 up here, that ticket's cashing.
Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this. I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text. Put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, "Hey, I never got the text." And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe. Like, it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.